Am I the asshole for asking our babysitter to set alarms when she sleeps? My wife and I have 3 children, ages 7, 4, and 9-month-old. I work a demanding job in the medical field and work many hours. My wife not so much, but she does have night shifts often. We just got a new babysitter a few months ago after our one we had for 2 years moved for college. Our new babysitter is only 16, but she had been babysitting one of my coworkers' children for a while, and I trust him. A few nights ago, my wife and I were both working nights, and I saw on the camera that our babysitter was asleep on the couch, and the baby had woken up, was crying for almost 30 minutes while she slept. That bothered me, so without talking to my wife when I got home in the morning, I had told my babysitter maybe she should set alarms throughout the night to make sure she's awake since the baby monitor didn't wake her, and that it was not okay for her to leave the baby crying like that. I guess it hurt the kid's feelings because she mentioned it to my wife, and my wife is really upset with me because she's only 16. And what I was asking is unreasonable and that this has never happened before. So again, I'm being unreasonable and that I should have talked to her first because this could have been a learning experience. She also said I was completely out of line as well. I'm really not worried about a learning experience, but I'm worried about the fact if my children are cared for properly. AITA, I am curious why anyone thought a 16-year-old would fit the bill of a night nanny. It amazes me that people with money always cheap out when it comes to paying for their children's sitters and nannies. You and your wife are both the assholes in this scenario. You're the asshole. Yeah, 16 is fine for an after-school sitter to give older kids a snack and play, but expecting her to wake up to tend to a crying baby is nuts. You're the asshole. If you want someone awake all night, then you need to hire an adult. This child you hired needs to sleep at night so she can go to school and learn during the day. How can you, someone in the medical field, not understand how important sleep is to a growing body and brain? You're the asshole. You have a 16-year-old, who I'm assuming is also a high school student, watching 3 children overnight. She fell asleep, which was to be expected, and the baby monitor didn't wake her up. The correct answer would be that you need a new baby monitor that will wake her up, not for her to set an alarm that goes off every so often all night. If that's no acceptable to you, then it's time to hire an overnight nanny who is an adult, instead of hiring a child to watch children. You're the asshole. Don't hire a child and expect them to behave like a professional night nanny. You get what you pay for. Am I the asshole for not accommodating someone because she never spoke up? I, 28 female, recently went out with a few friends and some of their friends. Eventually, we were discussing where to get food. I suggested a few places like pizza, Chinese, sushi, Korean, etc. People gave opinions like they weren't feeling XYZ, or they have certain allergies. This one girl, Abby, never spoke up even when I specifically asked her. I didn't know her well, but wanted to include her, but she would just mumble and not give a definitive answer. Eventually, we settled on Korean food. There were few people in the group who weren't too familiar with the food, so I explained the menu. Everyone seemed to enjoy the food, and I thought that was that. Towards the end of the meal, Abby started whining about the food. She didn't like this, she didn't like that. She was unfamiliar with the food, she couldn't even choose the restaurant. Few people reminded her that I specifically asked her where she wanted to eat, and it was a group consensus. Just for the record, I'm an introvert but can be very opinionated and can speak up for myself. I asked Abby why she didn't speak up earlier, and she responded she didn't want to upset anyone. My tone turned harsher and said, "Well, you could have said something earlier, instead of whining and causing a scene now. Why bring it up at the end of it if you didn't want to cause trouble?" Abby's face turned red as she got up, paid, and left. Am I the asshole for embarrassing her? Not the asshole. She didn't say anything when directly asked. She can suck it up now. There was no reason for her to whine about the food after the fact. Plus, trying foods you are unfamiliar with is a good thing. You never know if you like something unless you try it. But even if you don't like a new food, you should be an adult about it and not whine. Not the asshole. She responded she didn't want to upset anyone. Well, you could have said something earlier instead of whining and causing a scene now. She was unfamiliar with the food. So get familiar by trying it. I've known some people who just like to be able to complain about something. And Abby kind of reminds me of them. If she had spoken up and mentioned her preference, she wouldn't have had anything to complain about. If she truly didn't want to upset anyone, she wouldn't have started complaining at the end of the meal. Not the asshole. And I don't agree with people saying the subject had already been addressed. The biggest question of all, the why question, hadn't been discussed, and you had a valid point. If she didn't want to cause trouble, fine, but then don't cause trouble. Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.